temperature is so easy to be aware of when it's something that you don't desire. When you're in a house, when you're in a room, and when it's a little too cold or a little too hot, you notice immediately. But what if the purpose, the actual intent behind what you're doing, what it should be, is to force yourself to be uncomfortable? You see, too often as individuals, we ask for things like leveling up, reaching new heights, elevating our ceilings, and what's more important is elevating our floor. So then at the bare minimum, we're beating out our competition, we're beating the other people around us. But the unfortunate part of it is that for too many people, they ask for these dreams, but when the temperature starts going up, starts rising, they start kicking it on, they get a little uncomfortable. It's not room temperature, it's not what they're used to. So they tone it back. People freak out when the temperature is too low, when things in their life aren't going the way they want it to be, when they're not getting recruited to the extent they think they deserve, when they're not getting open as often as they feel they deserve. When things get a little chilly and the temperature is going down, panic mode hits. It's our homeostasis within comfort, and we turn it on. And then once we get comfortable again, then we tune it back down. But what if as individuals we could program ourselves, which you can, to just keep it on? Because you see, that's where the growth actually happens, when you keep churning, keep going at it, and you say, fuck the thermostat, and you just break that shit, and you leave yourself no option. I see it way too often with individuals. They turn it on, they claim they want to achieve their potential, and I've been guilty of it myself too. And naturally, because it gets uncomfortable, we turn it off. And it's the saddest thing that you could do. But what it makes you is it makes you a hypocrite, and it makes you a liar if you're someone who claims they want to maximize their potential. You see, as human beings, as individuals, as athletes, when we start seeing success, we self-sabotage ourselves because we think it's okay to turn it off, to tune it back. We start enjoying it a little bit too much, and we forget the origins. We forget what actually got us there. The greatest of the great have done it. They're guilty of it. But the best people are the people who are able to catch that pattern early enough and break the thermostat to leave no option for themselves. You see, the truth is you're probably not going as hard as you claim you are. You're not. You think you're going hard, and then you check your screen time, and you spent 5 hours on your damn phone, and you're the same individual complaining you have no time. And I'm not saying it's completely your fault, because it could be passed down from older siblings, parents, the environment you're in, but it is your fault for not taking responsibility and making a change, because it's your life. And if you expect other people to take responsibility and control of your life, you're never going to achieve your goals. You have a victim mindset, and that's just the truth. And that's why there are winners and losers. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't even want to say everything's a competition, but it should be an internal competition with yourself to force your potential to come out, to achieve it. Because if you're the type of individual that's okay with sitting on their couch, being fat, having an okay life, that's fine. But think about the trend you're setting, not only for your kids, but your generation. Easy times create easy-going individuals. Soft people create tough times. Tough times create tough individuals who want to achieve their potential. And the truth is, most Americans have it. It's okay. That's why it's so hard to break out of that cycle, because it's not hard, but it's not easy. What's hard is having a mindset shift, a mindset reframe, self-inflicted, self-imposed, to force yourself to turn it on, to where there is no room to leave it on the table. Squeeze it out of yourself. You have to. When you go to the gym, you have to squeeze it out of yourself. When I want to build muscle, you break it down so it has to rebuild stronger when you have your protein, when you eat properly. But if you don't go hard enough in the first place, you don't give yourself that progressive overload within your life. Whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you're never going to grow. Discomfort is growth. Discomfort forces growth, especially if you're implementing the right things that you should be doing in order to be the individual you want to be. You see, being vulnerable here for a sec, I fell into that trap after my career was over and I decided to step away. After I was depressed and I had dark times, I hated my life. I thought I had God, and I did, but I was dissatisfied because I never properly prepared myself. I was so caught up in running a race that I was never meant to run. But while I was running the race, there was a lot of benefits. I forced myself to be somebody I wasn't until I was that person. And I've gotten closer to being the dream version of myself than I ever could have imagined by pursuing a Division I goal. And after my career was over and I realized this wasn't my path, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I let things slip. I let who I was physically slip. I let my relationship slip. And this is recent. And sometimes you have to check yourself as an individual too, because there's a part in your life where you become the mentor and you're no longer the mentee. With certain aspects, you could always be mentored. There's always somebody better than you. And I realized I was asking other people to give their full potential, to break the thermostat, to force themselves to raise the temperature and have that be their floor. And I looked at my own life and I was like, wow, maybe I did that when I was in their situation, but I'm not applying those same principles to my current life with my body. Just got back from the gym for that. With my relationship, just had deep conversations with my woman because of that. As a son, been asking my parents, my mother, stepping up in those aspects of my life to fix that. There was a time when I wasn't doing these things, and I realized I'm a hypocrite. I need to check myself. How do I expect myself to level up and be the best mentor I could be for these athletes if I don't live it myself? Even if it's not with athletics, even if I was there and I actually did force myself to get to that level, you need to remain consistent. And that's where a lot of people fail when they raise the temperature, because they raise it for a little bit. They see a little bit of growth and they try to raise it a little more, but they're just comfortable. The way to break through this cycle is just to allow yourself to become distressed, obsessed, freak out. You're going to have nights where, what the hell am I doing? Because you're fighting a battle that feels like at times you're not meant to fight, but you're meant to fight that battle. And actually, it's a war against yourself. And you need to fight those little battles to win the big picture war in becoming who you want to become. Because again, nobody gave you those dreams. You have those dreams. God allows you to have them because you're capable. Now it's what will you do with them? It's David Goggins' whole thing. He doesn't want to die and go to God and say, have God say, this is the man you could have been. And he doesn't know who that man is. That's his whole thing. Don't sell yourself short. I don't need to make a 30-minute video to explain this in depth, because the people that will take this message and actually apply it don't need hoorah speeches anyway. And even if this video is only going to impact and influence one individual, that's all it needs to impact. But remember, if nothing changes, nothing's going to change. So just raise the temperature and just break the shit so you have no choice. Burn the boats, brother.